My name is Morgan, and my project is over Algor Mortis and Livor Mortis. What is Algor Mortis? Well, to start, Algor in Latin means cold, and mortis in Latin refers to death. So there's a few things that we could get from that, but the meaning of Algor Mortis is the cooling of the human body post-mortem until it reaches ambient temperature. Ambient temperature meaning room temperature, the temperature that surrounds it. So if it's sitting out in the desert, it'll reach the temperature of the desert. If it's sitting in a cooler, it'll reach the temperature of the cooler. How it works. After death, obviously the body no longer functions. So without the functioning of the human body, we are no longer able to maintain homeostasis. The hypothalamus can't control our body temperature anymore, and the hypothalamus is the main thing that maintains our body temperature. And so without that, our body is left to meet the temperature that is around it. It's kind of like if you're baking cookies and you take your cookies out of the oven and you put them on a cooling rack, eventually they will cool down to room temperature. It's the exact same concept. The importance of Algor Mortis is it can help indicate how long someone has been dead. That's not the most useful part of it for a funeral director, but it is an important part. But the most important part for a funeral director or embalmer is if you keep it in a cool place, then the process of decomposition will be slowed down, because decomposition happens best in warm, wet environments. And so if you cool the body down, the core temperature will drop, and so decomposition is less likely to happen because the bacteria that decomposes the body will not be able to thrive in a cold environment. Alright, let's move on to livor mortis. Livor in Latin means bluish or bruise. And as we went over earlier, mortis refers to death in Latin. Now, livor mortis is the discoloration of the body due to blood settling in the dependent parts of the body. This means that the blood will settle in the lowest part of the body. Not your feet unless you're standing, but if you're laying down, it'll go to the part that is closest to the ground. Gravity takes effect, and it brings the blood as far to the ground as it can while maintaining in your body. How it works. Whenever your blood cannot be pumped through your body anymore by your heart, your blood pressure will drop, and there will be nowhere for the blood to go except to go down and to settle. And that is what happens. Gravity brings the blood down your body to the lowest part. And then the blood will leave marks on your skin, kind of like a bruise. It's really helpful. As you can see in this picture, this guy had a gun. This mark was left because he was laying on his back with a gun there. So it's obvious that he had a gun. It can be useful in situations like that for murder cases or anything similar to that, but that's not how it's important to funeral directors and embalmers, since we do not deal with figuring out how people died. One thing we do need to figure out is whenever we see these discolorations in the skin, is it livor mortis or is it a post-mortem stain? The easiest way to figure this out is to perform the digital pressure test. It's done by just taking your finger and applying pressure to the area with the stain, with the mark, the discoloration. And if it blanches for a moment, as in if it turns white for a moment, the color changes, it moves, that means the blood was able to move away from that for a moment, and it is livor mortis, not postmortem stain. Postmortem stain, the blood will not move and the mark will remain there even if you add pressure. This is an image with an example of the digital pressure test. As you can see, the person is pushing down on the body and it left a white mark where the pressure was applied. Therefore, it's livor mortis. Now, the importance to livor mortis for us is because livor mortis can be cleared through arterial embalming. However, the postmortem stain cannot. So it is important for us to know how we will need to proceed in the embalming process. Will we need to apply bleaching agents to the body to get rid of discoloration on the face, or should it be flushed out on its own whenever the blood is removed from the body? An important fact about livor mortis is that it will typically set between 8 and 12 hours after death. That means that it will not be able to be flushed out of the body like it should, and it becomes more of postmortem stain. Whenever this does happen, you can apply bleaching agents to the skin, or you can use makeup to get rid of the discoloration so that the body is presentable for the funeral. And these are my sources. Thank you.